Hello, my name is Grant Eckhart, pastor of Jacob's Porch, and today we're beginning a series of concepts of the afterlife in Christianity. We're going to begin with those concepts as reflected in the Christian East, and then in subsequent videos we'll move towards the West. And in this video specifically, we're going to be talking about concepts of the afterlife prior to Christ, and focusing on two Hellenistic Jewish writers that influenced the Christian writers that would come after them. Before we talk about those two, I want to mention something important first. Especially in the Christian East, we have to differentiate between something called dogma, which is like the creeds, the Chalcedonian formula, those things that are bedrock, agreed upon truths of the faith. And then this other thing called theologoumena, which is, you could maybe say, theological opinion or speculation, because when dealing with the afterlife, the writers tend to go into this speculative area. And the theologoumena that we'll be discussing as this series goes through is founded upon kind of maybe not fully consensus opinion, but opinion that is written by some of the most important theological figures in the East. So, having said that, let's talk about the Jewish lore that influenced the early Christians leading up to the time of Christ. And the first figure we're going to talk about is a writer named Josephus, who lived shortly after the time of Christ and during that period when the New Testament was being written. Josephus describes it this way. He describes two places in the afterlife, Hades and Gehenna. Now, these two words are in the New Testament. The word hell, even though in our English translation, does not kind of come into the New Testament. We have to get familiar with these two words, Hades and Gehenna. Now, Hades was the place of the dead. When the soul leaves the body after death, all souls prior to Christ, Josephus tells us, would go to this just realm of the dead. And he mostly conceived of that as a subterranean physical region. And there were different areas in this place of the dead. You kind of had the good, nice part, which they called the bosoms or breasts of Abraham, where once you die, the angels, if you were righteous, would carry you and minister to you, and you would be comforted there in the bosoms of Abraham. The other place in Hades was the not-so-pleasant place where the quote-unquote wicked would go. And the angels would separate that group of people into that area that was less pleasant. So one place, Hades, this place of the dead where all souls are, and that is where these souls reside for a very long time. Then, after the judgment, there is a sifting, and there's this other place called the lake of fire. Now, until the judgment, nobody is in Gehenna or the lake of fire. They're only in this place of the dead. But after God comes in judgment, some are placed into this lake of fire, or Gehenna. Gehenna, we also know, was that place in the Kidron Valley where sometimes it was a trash heap, but also a place where people were sacrificed to Moloch, especially children. We know this from Leviticus 18. But that lake of fire happened only after the final judgment. So an example that we can look at is the famous story of the rich man and Lazarus, where you have Lazarus, the rich man, and Abraham. And the concept is that they're all in this place of Hades. Even though there's fire and this thirst, nobody's in a lake of fire. It's all in this place of Hades. They're all kind of talking and communicating to each other. There's no great chasm where they can't communicate to each other. It's all in this place called Hades. Then this lake of fire is prepared for the demons, the fallen angels, and the wicked. And there's another place I'll need to mention, because it's mentioned in the New Testament, a place called Tartarus from Greek mythology. And that's where we hear that that's where demons or fallen angels reside in chains of gloom. So in Hades, you have humanity, the good part, the bad part. Then you have Tartarus for the fallen angels in these chains of gloom. And then after the judgment, there's a sifting of then who goes into the lake of fire and who goes on to paradise. So that's Josephus's basic overall understanding. Then we need to mention Philo of Alexandria. His concept was not that there are physical subterranean regions or specific places. He says these are basically metaphors. And these metaphors represent conditions of the soul. So if your soul is conditioned through virtue and loving action towards others, then your soul is experiencing this bosom of Abraham. But if your soul is corrupted by vice and hatred and pain, then you are inflicting pain on others, I should say, also. Then you experience this lake of fire, this torment, either in this life or in the life to come. So Philo would say, in this life now, we can experience a paradise or a lake of fire, and in the life to come. So that's the backstory. Very simple, big overview, not talking about everything. But these two narratives become incredibly important as we work into what the Eastern Church Fathers have to say as they synthesize this Jewish lore with the New Testament and come up with what they want to say about the afterlife that we will deal with in the next video. Thank you.